Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Denise Donahue, your favorite mortgage nerd, and I have a confession to make. So, my good friend Matt passed along this book to me. It's called The Age Curve, and it is absolutely amazing. It's not normally the type of book that I would read, but what is so cool about it is that it's basically about this guy named Kenneth, and what he does is he counts people. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound very thrilling, but when you're in the marketing business or you're in a service-based business, and for most of my clientele, you're either in real estate or mortgage, this is fascinating to me because what people don't do when we look at, are we in a housing bubble, or could we potentially be in a housing bubble, or what does the buyers and sellers market look like? This book actually goes into so much detail about the generations and why we see a surplus of people buying or selling, even in the job market. It even goes into crime rates and Medicare, which I won't get into all that. But here's the chart I want to show you guys. Okay, this is what looks at the U.S. births from 1905 to 2006. And what you'll see down here is it starts with, the old farts, which is the GI generation. And what it does is it shows us that GI generation had 56.6 million people birthed. And then the silent generation had 32.5. That was right after the Great Depression. And then you've got the baby boomers. So the baby boomers came along, and look how massive this generation was compared to the one before it. And so in that time frame, the baby boomers, there were so many people. Think about job promotions. There was 10 baby boomers to every one silent generation. So when one silent generation got promoted, there were 10 people on deck ready to apply to get that next job promotion. Or in our business, if this silent generation graduated from their first-time home and went to their move-up home, there were 10 people, 10 first-time home buyers ready to buy that home. So it was a huge buyer's market in this time frame. Then we have Gen X, which is the generation below it, and there's a lot less people in Gen X. And so what I want to point to is the generation, which is Gen Y, which is the one that we're looking at here. It's the largest generation we've ever seen. There's 100 million people that were birthed for Gen Y, which means we have a ton of, again, buyers that are going to be entering the market because there were so fewer people beforehand, just from a counting standpoint. So in the book, it talks about how in the car industry during the baby boomer side, that the Chevy, they identified that their best client was a 43-year-old male. And so they were pumping out all these massive SUVs once the baby boomers started to die down, they still were producing all of those SUVs. Meanwhile, over in China and overseas, Toyota, they started to realize, there's not as many 43-year-old men buying our cars. So how are we going to change up our model? And what they did is they started building smaller, more efficient. They started, the colors started to be a little bit more extravagant, like the lime greens and the oranges. And because what were they doing? They were trying to appeal to this next generation that was coming through. Meanwhile, up in Michigan and in Chevy, they were laying off their marketing department, and they were thinking that there was something wrong with their sales because they weren't selling as many SUVs. And so what's important to think about this, if you're in the real estate world, who is your ideal client, and how have you changed your marketing in how you attract your ideal client? Meaning, if we've got all these youngins that are coming in, there's a lot of first-time home buyers. We already know that 50% of home buyers are first-time home buyers. So how are you marketing to them? Are you experimenting online? Have you dabbled in Facebook? You know, the reason for this message is because next month in June, I'm going to host a class about how to actually get business off Facebook, not crap business. Most of you guys are on Facebook and you're doing it wrong and you think Facebook doesn't work, but you need ClickFunnels, you need lead pages. But you've got to analyze your business, and you've got to look at this chart, and you've got to say to yourself, how are you going to change up your business model to make sure that you're attracting as much business as you can and capitalizing it, and to know that there's going to be a lot of buyers. So how are you changing up your seller game or your seller strategy? How are you informing your past clients how much equity they have? I already showed a post last week that the move up strategy is the way to go right now. It's not a seller's market in that premium luxury division. but yet it's a seller's market in that move up category. So how are you informing your clients of that? You've got to start thinking this way. You cannot rely on doing business how you've always done it years before. It just doesn't work. You've got to do the numbers. Don't be like Chevy and have somebody from China come in and take your business. So it's always about adapting. And what I love about this basketball series right now with the Warriors and Cleveland and San Antonio, you know, it's not a matter of who has the best team. It's who's got the best coach, the best process, who's in sync at the right time. You know, you've got to be able to play, and guess what? Those coaches are constantly making changes. I mean, look at the Warriors. They were able to get Kevin Durant. That's a huge change. So you've got to constantly be looking at your team, analyzing it, inspecting your business. And so anyways, I just got really excited. I know I'm such a nerd. I actually like wrote a bunch of notes about this book because I got that jazz. But I just wanted to share it with you guys. Go out and buy this book. It's amazing. And thanks, Matt, for passing it on. Otherwise, you guys have a great day. Take care.